Can stress induce or cause diabetes? Many believe stress only aggravates your blood sugar levels or aggravates your diabetes, but in fact, stress can be a causative factor for diabetes. Hi, this is Dr. Venugopal, Yoga Naturopathy consultant and a diabetes researcher. Now, before talking about how stress leads to diabetes, let us understand what exactly stress is. Stress is a mandatory survival reflex. Imagine like 5,000 or 10,000 years back, our ancestors were living in the forest and in caves. So for them, stress is to save themselves. So whenever they come across a lion or a tiger or a liger for that matter, what the body does is the body prepares them either to fight or fly away from that stressful situation. So if they are encountering an animal, what they have to do is they have to use their hands to fight or use their legs to run away from that place. To enable or to ensure this fight or flight mechanism to happen, what body does is it tends to give energy to your hands and legs. So for that process, body mobilizes glucose from all the energy store it has, because obviously like glucose gives energy. So for the hands and legs to get energy, glucose has to be mobilized from its store and it has to enter the circulation, and naturally the glucose enters into the blood and goes into your hands and legs. And the second process would be, this has to go in a rapid manner. The glucose has to reach your hands and legs in a very rapid manner. So naturally, what the heart tends to do is it pumps the blood faster. The faster it pumps, the faster glucose can be carried to each and every body cell of us. So the pumping of heart increases. And the third thing what happens is, the blood vessels throughout the body tend to shrink a little bit. Now, why is it shrinking? Just when you are watering plants in the garden using a hose pipe, what happens is when you are watering the plant closer to you, you can gently hold the hose pipe as such. But if you want to let out water in a plant which is at a distance, we generally squeeze the hose pipe, isn't it? So whenever we are closing it, the water comes out in a much more faster and with greater force. The same thing happens with our blood vessels as well. So our hands and legs being the farthermost part from the heart, so the heart has to pump faster along with the gentle contraction or the narrowing of the blood vessels, so that the hands and legs get much more faster blood supply, and through the blood supply also your glucose supply as well. So the fourth thing that would happen is increase in your breathing rate. Now why is this increase in breathing rate? It's to provide more oxygen, allow more oxygen into your bloodstream, so that every cell of your body gets this oxygen. Now what is the role of oxygen here is to oxidize glucose. For glucose to provide energy, it has to undergo oxidation with the oxygen. So when your breathing rate increases, what body does is it will use up the oxygen in it, and your hands and legs will be utilizing the glucose in the blood, the oxygen in the blood, and it would derive energy from it. Everything happens in a matter or a fraction of a second, so that we can fight those animals or fly away from that place. The so-called fight or flight mechanism. Now, when we are away from the danger, everything comes back to normal. Like your glucose levels, it will come back to normal, going back to wherever energy depots from which it has been taken. Your heartbeat tends to come back to the normal point, and your squeezed blood vessel will be coming back to the normal point. But if this is not happening, right? If this is not happening in the sense, if the stress is continuing for a prolonged time, the increased blood glucose remains in the blood as such, right? The increased heart rate will remain as such, resulting in heart disease, and the contracted or the squeezed blood vessel, if it remains as such, that leads to hypertension, and the elevated glucose leads to diabetes. The modern day stresses are not a lion or a tiger or a liger anymore. The modern day stresses are like, it could be as simple as an examination, it could be as simple as attending an interview, public speaking, or going for a job, it could be anything. We tend to stress ourselves due to many trivial things, like many means small issue, we tend to stress ourselves, making the stress a chronic one. Chronic is for a longer period of time. Stress is good if it is only for a shorter period of time, and if you are able to cope it in a better way. Okay, so stress management is really important, not just for diabetes prevention, but also for diabetes management and also diabetes reversal. So, for what are the steps or what are the ways, simple ways to reduce your stress and cope up with the stress mechanism, we'll be seeing in future videos. Stay tuned. Till then, bye.